You
So
did or
when they
you
were
didn't?
getting killed, I was like, "Oh, well,
Oh, yeah, you
I
didn't.
don't
Yeah,
like."
no.
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
I liked Rachel. I mean, Jamie, I could give or take.
The little girl?
I actually think
Well, I
Jamie
turned out
is
to be right.
I finally
watched.
I finally
Watched.
I
finally
watched. I
finally
watched.
I finally
Watched.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of I Finally Watched. I'm Milan.
And this is David, and today we
We finally
finally watched
watched
Halloween 4:
for
The Return of Michael Myers.
Myers.
What is wrong with you?
That was fun. That was too fun to not keep in. So David, we have a special guest today.
Yes. So my wife's second cousin, their grandmothers are sisters. This was just explained to me 5 minutes ago. My wife explains it to me all the time because their family's huge and it's different sides. Both sides are huge. Deanna, she has been asking to be on this for forever. And
Begging.
then, and it's really, she just brings it up when we see each other and then only then. But you were like, hey, we should have a ton of guests for Halloween month for October. And we're doing
Yeah.
a ton of movies. And
Yeah.
I gave you your choice and you chose Halloween 4.
I did.
And have you ever seen Halloween 4 before?
Yes, I've seen pretty much the entire franchise throughout my life, but I did rewatch it for this.
So, yeah, I mean, I was never a big horror movie fan, and I don't think David was either. And so when we started this 3 years ago, um, even though this is our like fourth Halloween doing this, we have like upped our game in
Mhm.
our horror movie repertoire. And we do a Halloween every year on Halloween. So happy Halloween because this comes out right now, right then and there. But yeah, I feel like now that we've kind of gotten accustomed to the Halloween verse, if I'm allowed to call it that,
You can do
it
whatever you want.
thanks,
Yeah,
man.
your podcast.
Yeah, and only mine. So, but the
Sorry,
thing,
David.
but the thing is, though, is like when I talked to David about this upon my first watch, David, you were kind of shitting on this, and I actually like this installation.
I will say, and I think we've talked about it before, we just had a kid, and even with two kids, like watching a whole movie at one time is just a lot. And so it is not the best viewing experience to watch any movie over 4 nights. Sub 90-minute over 4 nights also just shows you how, like, and it's not even like the kids go to sleep at like 8:30, by then. And so I have the time. I'm just so fucking tired. I watched the first 30 minutes of this on the first night. And I've said many times how bad I think the acting is in the 80s. So the things that I found campy and cool and just like super interesting and like very well done in Halloween 1 and 2 were just done really badly in this one. I think the point where I kind of paused it that first viewing was when Donald Pleasance, who plays Loomis, jumps out of the way of his car as it explodes at the gas station. This is a guy who was like walking with a cane, but then just does like a 6-foot jump over some barrels to get out of the way of an explosion. The movie picks up, and I will say, and we'll get to it at the end, or we can talk about it whenever. The twist at the end I thought was really cool, and I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really like clever idea.
Yeah.
So the movie pulled it around for me, but it's definitely like it's nowhere near 1 and not near 2 to me.
No, and I mean 2 is basically a reprisal of 1 anyways, with a lot more set pieces, kind of more stuff going on. The thing that I hate in all of these movies is like, and I felt like the weakest point in the whole, well, maybe the whole franchise as a whole, because it always does this, is like the crowd mob. They're like, yeah, let's get together with our shotguns and pickup trucks and find that fucker and kill him. And it never goes right every time. And it's like, if you live in Haddonfield,
Haddonfield, yeah.
Haddonfield. I don't do that. It never works out for anyone. Like crowd mobs
Yeah.
just is not their thing.
Well, so I guess there's an original script from John Carpenter, which, and I guess there's a novelization too. Obviously, I didn't read that, but which goes into more detail about like after the events of the first Halloween and the second, because it all happens kind of in one 12, 14, 24-hour period. That um the town basically like banned Halloween, banned wearing costumes outside, just like went like we can never let this happen again. And so
Yeah, that's the problem.
this it's not just this one guy.
Mhm.
And so like with that backstory, I think it explains it a little better. It would have been I don't know, just I think it would have been a better movie, obviously, if you allowed John Carpenter to be involved. So I don't know, but I think what I found funny, was not funny. They just like fucking killed a random dude who's like, first of all, they use his full name as if I'm supposed to know who that is, but I have no idea who that was, and I still don't. Um, and then I guess like in the end they kind of all get their comeuppance, but like this mob. But I don't know. It's just I don't think the movie was planned out very well, and it kind of reminds me a little bit, this whole franchise I was thinking about, like a Star Wars problem
Mm,
where you didn't have like a cohesive idea of what you want to do. So I know like people are mixed on the new trilogy, but at least you had like one voice
yeah.
who was like, this is what I want to do over
Mhm.
three movies.
Mhm.
I
Whereas
want to
like
get in.
the entire Halloween so far, it feels like one and two kind of are cohesive, but then I think like after that, there's
I don't
so
know what
many
you're talking
different.
about. Three just goes right into one and two. You're crazy. Um, thoughts?
Well, so I think there's everybody is very split on like the franchise and the order of the films and how to watch it, but it's so I actually don't like the second one. I think that is so boring. Just like it's in the hospital, it's a continuation. I want to see Michael Myers in town just indiscriminately killing. And that's like kind of I think with this film there was not enough of that. And I
Did
think that's
you?
one of the complaints that people had. This one, like the third one, was also not direct. I believe John Carpenter was producer on it,
So no,
or he had some hand in it, but he didn't write or direct the third or fourth one.
well, so for the fourth one, at least he was involved in writing it, and they didn't like his vision. He then sold his rights to it,
Okay,
so he
yeah,
completely like left.
yeah. I think yeah.
With the plot point of Michael Myers just indiscriminately killing people in the street, did you like the remakes?
No.
No.
I actually have a lot of feelings on the remakes. I mean, it jumps right into that original canon
Yeah.
of like, she's his sister and who the characters are and the timeline and everything. But I actually don't like them.
Mm,
And in the kind of new trilogy, they do have a lot of that mob mentality kind of scenes. And in
yeah.
each one they have that and it's just kind of a mess, and it's a mess to watch because then, like, I think in the second one of the trilogy, they're, like, in the
Kills.
hospital. It's basically the second movie, and then they, like, find this guy, and they target him because they think it's him or whatever, um, and I just think, like, that whole those mob scenes throughout the entire franchise, I think are
Yeah.
never
And
done well.
the thing with this one is that it doesn't go anywhere. And yeah, they kill that one kid, but
Yeah.
then they get to the school, they know he's in the school, and then they're like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go, let's leave." And
Yeah, they leave and they take him and they run, but he's under the truck, you
Hmm.
know?
how? I don't know, but he is.
It's the magic, it's the mystique that is Michael Myers and his powers that we never get that answer, I don't think, in the entire franchise, why he is this way, which
No.
I think about constantly.
Well, I mean, Loomis says it. He's evil incarnate. Like
Yeah,
he's
but,
not a
like,
man.
where's yeah, but, like, his
Super
like,
strength.
he has yeah, his super where's the super strength come from? This, like, if you any human, you get shot a few times, that's gonna slow you down at least. With
Have you
him, it
have you
doesn't.
seen that skit, that online skit of like the parts of being a serial killer you don't see? And so it's like it's Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees, they all walk pretty slow,
Yeah.
and somehow they're always behind their victim, like
Oh,
just a
yeah.
couple feet. So
Yeah.
there's a skit where it's like it shows them slowly walking and catching up to their victim every time, but then the camera pans to like whenever they're not shown on camera, they're just fucking booking it through the backyards and they're jumping over fences and then they get
Yeah.
behind them again and they're like they start walking slow again. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm imagining Michael Myers just padding his jacket with bulletproof Kevlar and
Mhm.
then like it just but you don't see that. You
He's
just
sewing himself up, like, in a gas station bathroom
taking
somewhere.
adrenaline shots like in the arm to like yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that could be it, and I like that idea.
I think one of the issues for me is similar to what you're saying. So it's like there seems to be a lot of like opportunities for him to kill people in this movie that he just doesn't take.
Mhm.
You also
Mhm.
don't see a lot of the kills on screen, which is issue too.
Well, I think they were trying to like downplay some of the gore, so they cut some stuff here and there. Um, I think maybe at this point we can kind of get into it. So this takes place 10 years later. It starts on
Mhm.
the day before Halloween, and I like that the movie plays into the like the here we go again idea of like, oh, we're transferring Michael Myers. It's like this never turns out bad.
Yeah, he's
Um,
like, "Don't." Dr. Loomis is like, "Leave him where he is. Kill him if you can."
and then and then the idiots who are transferring them are like, oh yeah, he has a little niece. It's like, why mention that in front of him?
I mean, he's
And,
comatose.
Well, yeah, I
well,
He's
know.
he's
that
supposed that's the
brings
thing,
him awake.
supposedly.
That springs him awake. The mention of his niece. He's like a
Yeah.
girl.
You see the
In my
hand start to move
yeah.
under the sheet, you see him, and that just that triggers his subconscious, I guess. He's hearing that,
He's
and
he's he's a snowflake liberal. He gets triggered so easily.
And then he sticks his thumb through that dude's forehead,
I
I
was
loved that. I thought that was such a great unique, like,
showing his
kill and
strength.
injury. Yeah, 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 and so funny. That's so funny and,
Well,
like, dumb.
but then the craziest part to me is, and I like the way it builds off of that, because the murder of Earl, where he just starts ripping his face off with his bare hand as he's
yeah.
driving,
Yeah.
is nuts.
What's also nuts is that when Loomis goes to the scene of the crime, like the accident, and he's like, "It's Michael Myers. It has to be." The damage on the truck, like the amount of blood, and the truck is like ripped in half almost, and um, the officers are just like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite think so." And it's like, dude, there's like at least 2 to 4 gallons of blood poured everywhere. Like, what the hell do you think happened?
Well,
And his
also
body
they
isn't
know
there. They're like,
they know who they're transferring, like,
yeah,
it's
and they're
not
like,
like,
no,
"Oh,"
his
like, they know who it is.
they're like his body's probably thrown somewhere. It's like, okay,
I love the conversation between Loomis and like the guy who's kind of taken over, and he's like, you're not in charge anymore, and like I got rid of him, and da da da, nothing bad will have happened. And then the the immediate phone call, and you like Loomis doesn't just sees his face, and he's like, oh, I knew it, I told you, this is my I told you so moment. Um, One thing that I think that the movie does great is the next scene. So we get to meet Jamie. She's she's having a conversation with Rachel, who I initially thought that was the little girl who was getting babysat
Mhm, mhm,
by
mhm.
Jamie Lee Curtis in the first movie,
oh yeah,
but it's not. It's just some random character. Apparently, the girl. I was getting a lot of the white bitches mixed up in this because the girl that drives them to the store.
Oh, yeah.
So her name's Lindsay, which is the same name as the little girl in the first movie. I
mm,
thought.
but
I thought
no
for most
relations.
I thought for most of the movie that she was the one that was cheating with Brady, but no, it was the other girl at the store that
Kelly,
Brady was looking at. I got those two mixed up.
I thought maybe I thought that the girl who was in the car, that's who he was cheating with.
No.
It's
no,
not?
no,
That's
it's
not the
not.
same girl?
No, it's the
Not.
girl who was on the ladder that the one dude goes to ask out, and she tells him to fuck off. And then as
The,
Brady is
the one
talking
with
to
the
Rachel,
gigantic jugs. That one.
want to
Wow,
talk about that
okay.
later.
They're the same girl is what
They look.
I
That's what I'm saying. They look so much
That's why
alike.
when we get to that scene where she like opens the door, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's the friend from the car. What a
Yeah, that's
not a girl's girl. What?"
because then why is Rachel so mad at that girl? Because it's like we don't have any established. Like we don't even know if they really know each other.
I
The
don't. I
girl at the
didn't. I
store.
didn't take that Rachel was that mad at Kelly. I thought,
She threw coffee at her.
yeah, because she's mad at Brady. Like Brady is the one horribly at fault here. But I mean, she's gonna take her anger out on Kelly. But she wasn't like scorned by her.
So I want to. We'll just talk about it now. So there's a sex scene, and in most of these movies, you assume there's going to be some nudity, and they completely like make you believe you're about to get nudity, and then they cut away from it.
Yeah.
What I
And when they're
read,
in front of the fireplace.
yeah,
Yes.
what I read is that they actually did film nude scenes for that. And then I
Mm.
guess also in the novelization, when she throws coffee at her, she just takes her shirt off and walks around naked and gets killed by Mike Myers like naked.
See, that's
Mm.
funny.
And we missed all that.
Do I have what kind of sorry what kind of copy hard copy do I have to? Well, where's the bonus features? Where's the
We'll have
deleted
to talk
scenes?
to
Where's the
director.
director's cut?
Yeah, where's the
Like,
director's
that's
cut?
what we want.
That's what I want to know.
In 4K.
Halloween 4, director's cut, only the cut. nude
Steelbook in 4K
So
scene.
by Arrow. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think that part's interesting. Also, like as an act, like if it was me and I had a nude scene that was filmed, but like you get mentally prepared, like okay, this is gonna go out into the world, and it's just like in some director's house on like a thing that only he had. You know what I mean? It's just like locked away. You're like, when is that? Is that ever gonna get released? Now? Am I just gonna be 20 years from now and like I don't even want that anymore?
Mhm.
I don't know. It's I was disappointed, just to say the least. So I like what I was getting to though is when we meet Jamie for the first time. She sees the ambulance outside. She has this really awkward conversation with Rachel that's just like exposition dump. It's
Mhm,
horribly
mhm.
written. She goes upstairs. She does this.
You love me like a real sister? You're
I
not
was
my
gonna
real
say,
sister.
not your like, but also, like, just say yes. Like, you're gonna say to a little kid, "No, we're not." Like, I thought
I
that was the quickest way to get a kid to shut up is to be like, "Yeah."
Well, it's because they have.
Woohoo, your mommy and daddy died.
I
But
also thought. I also thought like poor planning to think that Jamie Lee Curtis would never come back, like that you killed her off. So that's why like you can't even make this movie canon in order to
Mhm,
have her come
mhm,
back.
mhm.
They should have just been like, oh, she's in an insane asylum or
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, I like that.
So they then have her go up. She does this prayer where she's like, I pray for mommy and daddy and Mrs. Carruthers or whatever. And I was like, I think I've heard that before, like as like a famous line. But what I love about this scene is it turns into a dream sequence where she's getting killed by Mike Myers and then she wakes up. It makes it for the rest of the movie, like when she's in the store getting her costume, all those where you're not sure if it's real or not. Like because she has it, she's been apparently imagining this guy killing her.
Yeah. You can't tell if it's real or this is just a hallucination. And they do take a while to distinguish it, like, after the fact.
Well, because when she's in the store getting the costume on,
Mhm.
oh, you think it's fake again, and she starts leaving, and then
And
you
then
actually
you see
see
him in the
Yeah,
shadow
so he was
reflection.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing that I think is cool about that too is you're like, how can she have dreams about this guy? She's never met him. She has no idea what to look like. But
Right.
the ending actually ties to that. The fact that she, spoiler alert, becomes like the reincarnation of it. You know what I mean? That part
But
kind
she
of like,
doesn't okay, but she doesn't see, I thought she got it from a news articles and news
The
cast.
Maybe.
kids in school were a lot of it because they all
Oh, yeah.
know what happened.
Yeah, yeah. Your
Everybody-
uncle's a psycho killer and making fun of her for that.
Yeah, and throughout the movie, like, when Dr. Loomis is getting them into the police car and he's like, there he is. But then it's just a bunch of those like neighborhood assholes
Wearing the same
wearing
mask.
that. So they all
Did you
like this is their like their community lore. Michael Myers is someone they like talk about. So she's
Yeah.
probably getting it from them at school, in the community. That's like hot gossip.
They
Yeah.
sell the Michael Myers mask in that costume
Mhm,
store. You see it in the background.
which is what he grabs, right?
Which is
'Cause
what he
doesn't have-
grabs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so he's like, "Oh my god, my merch." But he's
I'm not even making a piece off of this.
jeez, that's why he's on a killing rampage.
He's
Uh,
furious. He's
he needs to go to the actor's strike. The part of where Loomis is okay. So we see Michael Myers in the gas station, and then Loomis kind of comes up, which is like a huge coincidence for me. It's the same gas station, but I assume maybe Haddonfield, small town, like one gas station to
But
it.
it's on the way, right? There's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's only one way to get to Haddonfield from wherever they are.
No,
So
no, no. I agree with you. I don't know, and I know you haven't seen it, but you've seen the remakes, right? So,
Yes.
um,
I have a connection to the remakes too.
does it remind you of that scene in the first one, where he kills those journalists in that gas station?
I think anytime there's a gas station, that's what it makes me think of.
It's interesting because I feel like there's three different parts of this movie that the remakes selected out of Halloween 4 to like expand on
Mhm.
in each movie. Like the mob thing is one for like number 2, the gas station scene is this one from number 1, and then I don't know. I never saw the third one. So but um the yeah, it was just so interesting. And then like David said, all the deaths were happening off screen. I guess you did see the guy on the hook, but like all the people in the diner are dead, but you never see that.
yeah.
I think that was like part of kind of the complaint why the third and fourth one lost a lot of the audience. People really love seeing those kills, and I think within this kind of genre specifically and time period of like 80s slasher films, you want to see a lot of kills and you want as many really over the top creative kills. And so I know it lost me a little bit. Like there were so many guys he could have just been killing
Yeah.
Well,
and he wasn't.
I thought he was going to kill. So at one point, and we're skipping ahead a little bit, but he sees Jamie and Rachel. They're trick or treating at the sheriff's daughter's house,
Mhm, mhm.
and I thought he was going to kill them right then and there.
Oh. But then
Uh,
the movie would be over.
well, no, not Jamie, and I thought he was going to kill the sheriff's daughter and
Oh,
Brady,
yeah.
like on his way to go kill the rest, right? But basically, this movie leaves almost all the kills close to the end,
Mm.
like the last 20, 30 minutes. One thing I want to talk about is how horrible these Carruthers parents are.
Oh my god.
So, like, the dad dips his tie in coffee and then looks at
Yeah.
the mom as if it's her fault that he did
Yeah.
this. She's
Yeah.
like, what are you going to do about this? And then are just like, hey, fuck your date with Brady. Like, I have a thing, which is fine because I guess it's like a promotion thing. And they're like, this is
Mhm,
important for
mhm.
us. But just the way they go about it, I was like, you guys suck.
I thought her reaction was so crazy. She's like, "This could be my fairy tale. This
I
guy,
thought that was
this
I
is
thought that
gonna
was
be
so
my
funny.
marriage."
I thought that was so funny.
I thought that was so funny, and
She's like, "You just destroyed your grandkids."
yeah, and I thought that was such a weird reaction. But maybe I don't think I was like that as a teenage girl. If my parents were like, "No," I would have been like, "Well, that's it."
Fuck you.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't have been, like, on my soapbox, like, "Well, I'm never gonna have another date," and I just thought it was so funny.
Also, what parent, like what realistic parent gives their kids a soapbox to have their own little speech on? It's like, just shut up and go to your room.
Yeah, my dad was checked out. He was just like, "Oh, you're still here. Oh." Like, yeah, they gave her so much time and such a platform to plead her case to them, and I thought that was, like,
Yeah.
just kind of insufferable.
Unrealistic for that time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Spanker. Like,
Yeah,
parents are not that lenient.
That's a different movie. She's like 17 in this.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, she's a teenager too.
so
Spanker.
we already talked about the Loomis like overhearing the phone call in the ambulance
Yeah.
and the gas station. Um, I wanted to. We can skip ahead to where the other kids are just chanting at Jamie that she's an orphan.
Mm.
I'd like to also talk about Loomis hitchhiking and almost getting picked up by that like van of cheerleaders, that convertible of cheerleaders. I was watching this with our good friend Carlos, David. I was watching this movie with Carlos, and they pulled over, and Carlos goes, "No way." 'Cause they leave him in a trail of dust, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that tracks. That makes sense."
I also like how then the dust disappears and it's just this kind of crazy reverend guy who's like he said he's searching for the apocalypse,
Mm.
You find it
I
you
love.
found it in Haddonfield.
I also love in order like the set design of the truck to
Oh,
have
yeah.
the bumper stickers behind his head in a truck that no one ever places bumper stickers there, but because that's the shot, they have like "I love Jesus" and something else. And it's what, what is this? Like, like who designed this? So there's like that's where bumper stickers go.
To even write such a like an ostentatious character is just weird. It's like, oh, he's in the movie for like 2 minutes, but let's make him the quirkiest fucker around, you know?
It's weird.
They were giving us that so they didn't have to give us creative kills.
That's true. So I want to get to when they go to the store. So first we meet Brady
Mhm.
and his friend Wade, and this is some of the worst writing in the entire movie. So they're talking about the sheriff's daughter, and one of the guys is like, "She's primo," and then I think it's Brady who goes, "Well, money talks and bullshit walks." I was like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, you're like 17 years
But I don't
old.
understand.
Who
Like,
like
I mean, and then they're trying to bet him to go ask her out, and he walks over to her, and all he has to do is say, "Hey, do you want to go out?" And he wins $10, and she tells him to fuck off, and he's just like, I guess she just say it, like win your $10. But that whole scene was like, to use a term now, it was cringe, and
the whole movie is a little bit cringe.
The
no,
whole
for
movie
sure.
is a little bit cringe.
That's
And
that's just embedded.
what's funny too, it's like none of these characters are that likable. Like
No, I
you
didn't
don't
feel attached
mind.
to a lot of them.
You
So
did or
when they
you
were
didn't?
getting killed, I was like, "Oh, well,
Oh yeah, you
I
didn't.
don't
Yeah,
like."
no.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked I liked Rachel. I mean, Jamie, I could give or take.
The little girl?
I actually think
Well, I
Jamie
turned out to
is
be right.
really good. I'm gonna say so. I really like Danielle Harris. She's had like a really long career in horror and in like '90s films. And like I think she did some Disney stuff like in the '90s, and she's really good. And I think that as far as the child performers in the franchise go, I think she's one of the best.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
is
Yes,
she one
that's
of the
right.
ranch girls?
You wish she was one of the ranch girls.
Well, apparently everyone was. Sydney Sweeney was one. Lena Dunham was one. Like, there's so many people that were like,
Yeah,
there's
that's
like
true.
40 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
I was having an argument with Garrett. He was like, "What has the Dakota Fanning even done lately?" And I was like, "Once Upon a Time in Hollywood." He was like, "Ah, fuck, I forgot about that," because she's like the main one. Um, so Brady's eyeing the sheriff's daughter at, which is should have been my clue. And if I'd watched this all at the same time, I probably would have figured it out. But he's eyeing the sheriff's daughter as Rachel is telling him, like, "Hey, I can't go out tonight." And I love later on when she calls him out on it in front of the sheriff's daughter's house, and the sheriff's daughter's just waiting there, like, "Well, I guess I'll still fuck her."
Her name is Kelly. Okay, it's okay.
Kelly.
Yes, Kelly.
And don't care. Uh, but he's like, "Ah, you just flaked on me tonight. And I was just so upset." And she's like, "Then what does that mean?" Like, once again, Brady.
You have no self-control or
Like-
like you can't manage your expectations. I always think that's such a like a weird reaction. I think nobody behaves normally in this movie. And
Well,
like that's part of why I was just like, yeah, just kill them all, I guess. Like they're all terrible
Well,
and they're
Nick-
doing everything wrong.
Kelly later on is like, "Rachel, if you really want to keep guys, you have to be more of a whore," is what she's telling me. Like,
Yeah.
you really have to put out if you want to get guys like Brady. Like, that's my
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, it's funny too when they're like having sex in front of the fireplace and they hear the cars coming in. She's like, "My dad's here. He's gonna kill you if you see." So what do? She puts on like a long shirt and then reads a book in the middle of the living room. It's like, oh yeah, nothing suspicious going on here. Like,
We're just doing things separately in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, pretend you're having a conversation because that's a little bit more believable.
Also, as she's wearing like just a shirt, nothing else.
She's answering
It's
the
like
door for trick-or-treaters with no pants, and that was also really funny to me.
Yeah.
I wish I had more of those houses in my neighborhood when I was growing up. Not gonna lie.
So
oh, go ahead,
Loomis
David.
makes it to town. He goes to the cops. The cops really don't want to believe him until he explains like about what's all the people that have already been killed, and then the sheriff is like, "All right, fuck, we got to get out of here." I think like so this movie had a lot of budgetary restrictions, but like obviously showing him like destroy the police station like would have been a cool thing to see.
Mhm.
Um,
I think he does
we-
that in the third movie. of the remake, right?
Really?
He he completely oh no, it's firefighters, and it's firefighters in the second movie. He just completely takes out a whole squadron of firefighters.
Mhm.
But that's exact. I mean, the gore and the brutality and like the opportunity to have really cool kills is all there. And you're just gonna be like, yeah, he did that, and then just show the aftermath is insane to me.
It was either because they didn't have budget to do that,
Yeah.
or they were just being a little bit lazy, and they were like, you can figure it out.
Well, there
Like,
were.
show us, don't tell us. Why are you making the movie? Show us
And then you
the
get
whole
the
thing."
one guy who's held up at Jamie's house and is like the only survivor. Well, he dies later, but he's at the only cop who survived apart from the sheriff just because he wasn't there.
Yeah. I did hear that there were a lot of things they had to cut for budgetary reasons.
Mhm.
So like it's funny that you have a franchise like this and you're just like we're going to make this as cheap as possible and we're just not going to do a good job.
Well, another
Um
thing is that this movie is the first movie that brings Michael Myers back
Mhm.
from, you know, last time we saw him was in 2. And then we had 3, which was like they were trying an anthology thing or whatever.
Was
Didn't
that
really.
that's the season of the witch?
Yeah,
mhm.
Yeah, a lot of people they're like, "No, don't even talk about that one."
I mean
right.
it's
I
good
think it's funny.
if
Yeah.
it's good if you're not like I like that it's basically like a horror James Bond caper.
It's
Um
non-canonical
it's a different
at
canon.
best.
It's a different can. I think that so they were selling the rights to Halloween right now, and one of the studios making like a pass at it wants to do a series, and they want to continue the season of the
Currently?
witch. Yeah, A twenty
Don't say
four
this.
Apple.
Oh, okay. A24 is really good, and I actually think that they would do a great job, but I'm ready for the franchise. This may be like a not popular opinion. I think before Jamie Lee Curtis dies, they need like
She should
she
be
she needs
Michelle
to
Myers.
yeah, no, she needs to fully kill him forever. Like, I don't want any like and I actually didn't see the last one just because of how much I'm like just kill him. She has to be the one to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, and also
Yeah.
Let's
just
end it beautifully.
it allows you to reboot it too because you've already rebooted it so many times. You should. I don't know.
The
In like 11 years, we'll get to that. So
maybe. And you know what's also being shopped around right now is Friday the 13th.
Ah, that one I always think that franchise is really good. Especially the first few because you don't even see it. He's not even the bad guy in the first one.
I know
Yeah,
we just did that
I
one.
we
love I
did.
love that franchise. And I'd be
Yeah.
excited to see that, but Halloween I I think because they have done so much with it and it's changed hands just a crazy amount, especially within the first 4 movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm okay seeing it like end and I want
S-
Jamie Lee to be the one
So
who ends
right
it.
right now, I think Halloween is being shopped around, like David said, by A24, trying to get the rights to Season of the Witch to do an anthology thing. And I
I'd
want to
watch
come
that.
back. I want to come back to that in a second. Friday the 13th is rumored to be shopped around
Well,
by
there's like
Blumhouse.
there's property rights issues right now with it. They're deciding who owns the rights to it.
Oh, is
So
it licensure?
that's why it's been held up for so long. We
Mm,
Yeah.
don't know who owns it.
that's
There's
funny.
this
Yeah.
show. It's gonna take me a second to quite remember the name, but basically it takes all of Stephen King's novels and makes them into like an anthology. And each episode it's like a linear story, but they try to fit in um certain aspects of all of his novels and movies. Like they try to fit in Pet Cemetery with it with his what's that
I
one?
wanna see what
Maximum
that's called.
Overdrive,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, right? And so they could do something like that with Halloween, where you don't focus on the Michael Myers character. He could even be like a tiny detail in the background about
Mhm,
it,
mhm.
but then
A
you
nod. I
a
want, like, a
nod.
little nod. We
Yeah,
get it. We don't need, like, a big thing, just we get it.
but there's so much lore packed into Season of the Witch that
Mhm.
they could expand on that and make it really dark. And that could be really cool. A theory that I always had, and last year when we talked about Season of the Witch, I think this came up, is that the whole thing about Season of the Witch is the masks with the microchip in them. the
Yeah.
mask with the microchip, and then like turning the kids to like brain dead, right? Um, what if like what makes Michael Myers like crazy and invincible is because he has the mask. So what if it was like a thing about them, like what if the mask that he wears is like some sort of
At
prototype?
first, I'm gonna
Yeah,
bring up, do you remember in Goosebumps by R.L.
R.L. Stein.
Stein, the haunted mask, that's
Yes,
it.
yes.
It's exactly that, and I actually would accept that as an answer to why Michael Myers is the way he is. It's the mask. It's just too powerful.
The whole time you guys are talking, I'm just thinking of Aidan Gillen, I think, from Dark Knight Rises. What's behind the mask?
It's a
So
guy with idiot strength
let's can we get
and
back,
a haunted
people?
mask.
Let's you two together, just through tangent after tangent. Um, so I really like the idea of putting her in the clown costume. They go trick or treating as Mike Myers goes into the house. He finds the picture of Jamie Lee Curtis. Then Rachel,
Castle Rock.
yeah, we found it over here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That first season was awesome, but I couldn't get through the second season.
They just try to pack everything that Stephen King has ever done
Very
into the second
long. It's
season.
long-winded. Yes, and
Yeah.
that's why I was just, it was too slow moving.
They even put
But
like a Shawshank Redemption reference in that, and I was
they
like,
did.
"What?" Yeah.
So Rachel loses Jamie. We already talked about that because she goes to she sees Brady has been basically cheating on her. Although I don't even know what they are. Are they serious? Have they gone? They haven't gone steady yet.
Is this their first date? Because she's making it seem like this. It comes down to this.
She seems like
I
a
David,
fucking.
this is it.
She seems like a fucking loser. Is what she seems like.
They all low-key seem like losers,
Oh,
though.
and then at the same time, this is what I want to talk about. Talking about like character motivation. The bar hears an announcement that like everyone has to go inside. They call the police station and get no answer, and this is enough for these guys to just get in their pickup trucks
Mhm.
and drive to the police station. Which also, this is a small town. It takes them forever to get there.
Mhm.
But like, what is going on? That they're just
the
like, that's
the
it.
the way they rally up everyone is so impressive. He's like, Jake from the police station isn't answering his phone. You guys know what that means. And they all they all leave the bar, get in their trucks, and just go.
I love
Without
the teamwork, though.
without question. Like, yep. Oh my god, something must be horribly wrong. To be fair, at the same time, they are announcing on the news that there's like a town-wide shutdown curfew thing. So maybe that paired with no one answering the police station, maybe that signifies, a response.
I guess. So Michael Myers throws a dude on the electrical grid because he's like, all right, I got to go take out all the power. This will make things easy. But how does he get there? Is he just
Really,
walking?
I don't
Does
care.
he do
That
anything? They've never told us, like, is he's booking it through town. We're not seeing it.
He called
He's
it-
just running through the yard.
He called a
He's-
cab. He's like,
he's
how
actually-
long is it going to take you to get here?
he's actually the one that got the ride from the group of cheerleaders in their convertible.
Yeah, that's why they couldn't pick up Loomis. They
Yeah,
already
they didn't have
they were
room.
max capacity. He's riding.
Wouldn't it be
under the
funny?
car, though.
Wouldn't it be the fucking funniest thing that as the cheerleaders are driving off, leaving Loomis in the dust, the trunk opens up and Michael Myers is in there, like
That's
like-
a Rob Zombie. That's a
Yeah.
Rob Zombie move, though. He
Yeah,
popped
that's
it.
true.
He was in the car the whole time.
That's
Like,
true.
So we also get Rachel finds Jamie as she's being chased by what we think is Michael Myers. And then we get this cool little part where Loomis grabs her and he's like, 3 Michael Myers pops up and he fucking pulls his gun out. And the sheriff's like, what are you doing? Like,
No, the
but then
sheriff pulled his
the
gun
sheriff-
too.
he also
Oh.
draws, and then
Oh,
those
okay.
guys are like, no, don't, and then they just start laughing and run away. And I was like, I would have pissed my pants if a guy
and the cop.
if a fucking cop pulls a gun on me. I'm not just gonna be like, hee hee, and
You know
run
what, though?
away.
Quite honestly, they kind of fucking deserve that. If they got shot, they kind
Oh,
of deserve that.
1000%. Totally.
Yeah. The guy just peeing in a bush or whatever the fuck he was doing did not deserve to get shot.
Well, it's probable that he was one of the Mike Myers people, maybe. One of the people in the mask.
Maybe I blinked
He's
or
blending in with them.
maybe I blinked, but when one of the rednecks was like, "Oh, I see him over there," and then they let gunfire loose over there. Do you actually see his little head poke out, or do you just see
No.
the bushes rustle?
Yeah, just the bushes.
I
Okay.
think they just insinuate like, "Oh, he was
Yes.
there."
So police station is wrecked. They decide to all hold up at the sheriff's house. And then we see the cop that's going to meet them at the sheriff's house. Michael Myers is in the back. And then this is the same time that the mob just kills a random innocent guy. And now we get to basically the end of the movie where, and this is like there's 20 minutes left, but this is kind of where the most of the action happens when they lock up the sheriff's house. I like when Sheriff hands Brady a shotgun. He's like, "If you grope my daughter, I'm gonna fucking use that on you." But it's like, bro, way past that.
Yeah.
He's already groped your
Daughter's
daughter.
been groped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
check that off the
Your
list.
daughter's answering trick or treaters with no pants on. I don't know if Brady's the full problem.
And I'm wondering, I guess Michael Myers must have gone on the roof and gotten in through the attic before anyone could
I
stop
think
him.
that's what it
He
insinuated.
shimmy
Yeah.
down the little chimney like Santa.
And
No, because I think it's Brady's show. It's showing Brady nailing the open window up in the attic, and I think it's supposed to insinuate that he came through there. So they're
He's
too
already
late.
in the house.
Yeah.
You're trapping him in there with you.
The call is coming from in the house.
Exactly.
well, and then also the sheriff locks everything up. He calls for backup from another town, and then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go leave to stop Earl." And it's like, "All right, well, that's all right. Well, you're just allowing that your kid to die now." And it's funny too. I don't know if you guys have ever lived in a house like this, but my grandma had a house like this where like she had an iron gate on the front door
Mm,
that only locked with a key. So from the if you didn't have the key,
you're stuck.
even on the inside, yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
you're just stuck in that house, and that's what this house ends up being. Because when they realize Michael Myers is there because he's killed the cop, and also best kill in the movie when he stabs Kelly with a shotgun.
Yeah.
He
Mm.
pulls it on her and can blast her with it, but doesn't want to make any noise, and so just fucking impales her with it. It was crazy.
One of the
That's
funniest
a good
things
one
is
though.
Mm-hmm.
no, that's actually the best one. What's funny about that is that when Kelly walks down the stairs, I guess it's dark, whatever. She doesn't see anything like suspicious, like everything's fine. There's just like people missing. And then she goes to turn on the lamp, and then you see the deputy like crumpled up in the corner, dead. And then she turns around and then she sees Kelly like impaled against the wall with a shotgun through her. How do you miss that on initial like walking into the room?
That's the first thing I'm
Well, it
saying.
was dark.
Yeah.
See, I
There
also want to say horror movies, I sometimes have a hard time suspending my disbelief because they don't act like people who want to stay alive. Like the lights, all of the lights in my house are immediately on.
Well,
There's not a single
in the
light out.
in the power out though.
Oh, that's right. The he threw the guy on the grid.
Oh, so
So
what she do? There's like a little oil lamp
How is
maybe
it?
she
they were
turned
using
on.
candles. They were using
Oh,
candles.
that's right.
Well, can't fault them for that.
I retract my statement.
So
That makes more sense.
Mike Myers chases them up the stairs. Brady, showing some courage, tries to stop him, but can't load the
Redemption arc.
gun.
Redemption arc.
But gets his face in midair crumpled with Michael Myers' hands, like a
Doesn't
piece of
really
paper.
show it though.
It. No, I mean, because
It's impassive. It's like a
they start to show it, but they don't show the end of it. And then he chases them. They like a fucking Home Alone episode. They start throwing stuff down the stairs. Then they climb out. Then Rachel falls off the house after like trying to lower Jamie, but you clearly know she's going to be okay.
Before that, I thought a pretty effective jump scare was that they're on the roof and they're looking around. You don't see Michael. Then all of a sudden, Michael fucking pops up from like on top. He's already on top of the roof. He like pops up to the other side of the roof. I jumped. That surprised the hell out of me.
And then we get a jump scare with Loomis, and I think it's interesting. Like once again, Mike Myers apparently gets to the school before they can, even though like I don't get it. But he like throws Loomis, and it's like, all right, Loomis might be alive, might not be, probably alive. Like Mike Myers just decides not to kill him. Like I guess that's part of the game for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chase. Rachel comes in, and apparently his fucking kryptonite is a fire extinguisher.
Have you ever inhaled fire extinguisher smoke?
I don't think I've ever seen, like, in real life a fire extinguisher
No.
being
No?
used. No.
So I grew up next to a course, and they set up for the tournament. They have those like tents that close on all four sides.
Mm.
And a bunch of us kids, like during setup, used to just wreak havoc in those tents. But they had a fire extinguisher in those tents, and we hotboxed the tent with the fire extinguisher stuff. Um, and we all almost died because that stuff is poison, and it almost suffocated and killed us.
So I'd be
So
curious. So like the stuff they used to use in fire extinguisher, literally the reason it works so well is it sucked all the oxygen out of whatever area it was in. So I'm
Mm.
curious if you use like an old school one, like if
Yeah,
you
they're not
they're
updating.
not they're not
it
like
wasn't a vacuum sealed. It was like it was a tent. I mean, tents have holes in them, have crevices,
I
cracks
get
in
it,
them.
but I'm just wondering if it was an old school one or if a new school one because you're not
It
that
it
old.
it literally felt like you were inhaling. What's that stuff up in the attic?
Asbestos?
And
No,
the pink insulation.
yeah.
I don't know what that feels like either. I have
Yeah,
no point of reference
why are you
for
inhaling that?
these.
You
Were
know
you
when
and
you
your friends
touch it,
eating it?
No.
and it makes your skin all itchy and shit.
Oh, wait.
Why are you
Isn't
touching
this made you mean fiberglass?
Yes, fiberglass,
Oh,
fiberglass.
no,
So
no.
when you inhale the fire extinguisher shit, it feels like you're inhaling fiberglass.
Which I don't yeah, I don't
So
that's bad.
maybe that does hurt him, you know?
Uh,
One thing we forgot I wanted to
well, if a
mention.
bullet isn't gonna hurt him, I don't know. I mean, I love to think that
Oh,
that's
this mild
it. It's that
inconvenience
simple.
lung feeling I'm having. Ugh.
He's a little bit sensitive, I love that.
I wanted to mention before we get to after she runs out and Earl's there. Loomis, when he gets to the school, shoots the lock off the door like it's like Goldeneye for N64, like
Yeah.
and then it just like falls off. Um, but so Rachel and Jamie come out, and the guys are like, "All right, we're gonna go in and kill him." They're like, "Just let the cops do it." And Earl's like, "Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll let the
Oh,
cops do
yeah, they
it."
bail so fast, and I was like, "Wow, that's great."
And then
Yeah, that would be me.
you obviously know that he's underneath the car.
He's already under the car. He's not even in the school anymore.
I didn't know he was under the car. I thought he's
Oh, come
just
on.
like
Every trope
really.
ever. He's always there.
Okay, hold on. So we just did Ready or Not, and in that movie, the girl gets in the car, she drives like really far away and leaving a guy behind,
Mm.
and somehow in 15 seconds he's right next to her fucking window. So I was like, maybe Michael Myers is just running really fast.
Yeah, no, you've already said that.
I would watch a whole movie of that. Just
Oh,
him.
there's a movie that spoofs serial killers from the perspective of the serial killer. I'll find it and send it to
Yeah,
you.
you already told us about it. Let's get back to it, guys. So
That was a skit. I'm talking
He-
about a whole movie.
Yeah, I want that too.
send both.
Yeah.
So I wanted now. Here's a lot of things I want to talk about at the end. So he climbs up on the truck, and none of the guys notice as the other guys are being murdered just
I
one
was
by
gonna
one.
say the people in the truck, I would be
You're not
they're
hearing nothing.
giving him a hard time. How are they not
I don't get it.
hearing that?
He
I
he
don't know.
kills all three of them. Once again, rips Earl's face off.
Mhm.
And then she's able to get him to fall off the truck, and she hits him with the truck, and then just they shoot him to death. So they go back to the Carruthers house, and the sheriff is not. Does the sheriff know at this point that his daughter's dead? Because he is not acting like a man whose daughter is dead.
No,
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he knows.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't know, and I don't think anyone knows that the dog is
The
dead.
weight
Rachel-
of
Rachel
the
does.
damage.
Rachel knows the dog is dead.
The daughter. I don't think the sheriff cares that the dog is dead. His daughter is dead. He's like, I don't know.
No, but the Jamie's dog is killed by Michael Myers, and I'm pretty sure the only
That's
person
not what
you-
I was talking about.
No,
I was
but that's
asking-
what I was talking about. I don't give
Well,
a
we were
shit
talking
about
about
the
the thing I was
slot.
talking
I don't
about.
know if the dog is dead.
Happy to be
Fuck
here.
off. Anyway, he must not know because he is not acting like it matters. And I think the one good thing about the ending of this, and I already said like the fact that Jamie kills her mom, but Michael Myers has come back so often that when you see the first person POV from the camera, grabbing the knife, walking
Yeah.
in, it's also from a high vantage point, which like doesn't make sense it being Jamie. You think I was like, oh, is that Jamie? Is that Mike Myers? Like I was like, this movie's been not great so far, so it's probably just Mike Myers.
Michael.
So then
And
when it,
whenever you say Mike Myers,
Yeah, baby.
it's Austin Powers.
I know. But it's just I had to shorten it for notes so I could write it faster. But when you when it is revealed that it's Jamie,
He's just looking for his mojo.
it was sort of like
he's been asleep. He's been in a coma for 10 years, David. He's just getting his mojo back just now.
Yeah. He just wants people to get out of his swamp.
when Michael Myers unfreezes, he kills. When Mike Myers unfreezes, he fucks. Or he tries to.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I think it's canon that he's not very good at fucking. Not he's
I think he's the best. Michael Caine is his father. Okay.
Yeah, Michael Caine fucks.
Yeah, but-
absolutely.
but Mike Myers doesn't. He's like horrible at it when he comes out because he loses his mojo.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
oh, yeah, his mojo has been stolen.
Yeah.
Which is why, really, in this one, Michael Myers can't really kill that well.
No,
for
yeah,
like
you're
most
right.
of the movie.
Yeah, it's because his mojo's gone.
Because
They took it.
he's been done for
He's-
10 years. He's
yeah.
rusty.
He is.
Yeah.
He's just getting his strength back. He's been asleep.
Here's what I want to say. Even if I'm like a mother who's never taken any self-defense courses, if some 8-year-old comes at me with scissors, I'm going to slap that bitch.
Yeah,
There's no
you can
way
kick him
I'm
down
getting,
pretty
There's no way I'm
easy.
getting killed. All right?
Yeah.
Mrs. Carruthers.
You can take on a bunch of 8-year-olds pretty easy. You just
David-
start kicking.
She died.
You know?
She died like a bitch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
David, let me ask you, how many 8-year-olds with scissors could you fight off?
How many are coming at a time? Is it one at a time?
I'm asking. No, they're all coming at you at the same time. How many would it take to like
Take you down.
Yeah, take you
Yeah.
down.
Are they proficient with the scissors, or
No,
are they
just,
like
just
normal
regular 8-year-olds with
Just regular
scissors
8-year-olds with
going nuts.
scissors.
Well, I'm
Mhm.
assuming like half of them are going to stab themselves, like they're going to swing and miss, right? I
Yeah,
think,
they're hitting each other as they're climbing.
I think
over.
what you do is you get 2 of them and you like swing them around to knock the others down, and then
use one as a shield.
I'm stabbing 8-year-olds. Once I get a pair of those scissors, if I get a pair of those scissors before I haven't been taken
Okay,
out,
I'm sorry though, but have you ever tried to take in something out of an 8-year-old's hand? They have the grip of God on their
Yeah, I
side.
was gonna say small children like that are very flexible and very strong. Like
Yeah.
if
They
they
wrap their fingers like 3
Yeah.
times around.
so that's
those.
why you grab them from behind and you use their arm to stab because
Yeah.
it's a shield and a weapon all at once. I'm saying, so if they're pretty good with scissors, like 4 or 5, but if
Yeah,
they're just normal 8-year-olds with scissors, like I don't know, I'd probably die of being tired before I'd die from a 8-year-old.
yeah.
Let's say how good they are with scissors. Let's say they have a 2nd grade level understanding of them.
Oh, then you're killing those kids.
Yeah, 2nd grade is a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
These
they-
kids have been held back because they can't use scissors. safely.
That's
I
what
was gonna
actually
say, they do keep children back for not
their
being able to use
graduation
scissors, so-
initiation is this fight, and whoever wins can graduate to the next.
Also, if I
Okay,
can,
okay.
if
Is
I
this the best of the best in the class, though?
if I can survive long enough, I can build a body of 8-year-olds
Mhm,
around
mhm.
me that is higher than the 8-year-olds. So then, as they're trying to attack, I'm just stabbing them.
I like to
Yeah, they're
imagine.
just falling and
over the
making a
hill.
pile. Yeah, they're
I
just
like to-
rolling down.
And
like
then
to-
what I do is I take the clothes of the 8-year-olds. I assume
Yes.
they're all in a uniform,
Yeah.
and I sort of hide amongst them, and then I get out of there.
Yeah, you can pass as one. The thing is, though, I'm imagining David just collecting the scissors as each child falls,
He's
and then
making
coming.
a necklace out of
No,
them.
not making a necklace. He's coming out of there like Wolverine, like yeah.
Yeah,
I think you just need 2 to be more effective, honestly. Because the
I
more
was
you
gonna
hold,
say the
they're
more.
like, yeah,
then
you're
you're
not,
Edward Scissorhands, and that guy.
It's even better.
but
Yeah.
they're not attached the same way. I don't know. These are
No, he had dexterity.
so these are the silver scissors that just barely fit on your fingers. Because those, I'm like, yeah,
No,
Oh,
you
stab,
only
stab,
want
stab.
2 of those.
stab, stab.
I mean, that's what
They're
I
not
was thinking.
ergonomic.
That's what I was thinking. But actually, if I'm being more realistic, those like tiny little construction paper scissors that actual 2nd graders have,
Yeah,
oh, those, yeah,
those infinite,
those
right?
won't stab you, but it'll chop off your finger real good.
Well, that's yeah. You ball up fists. Your
Yeah.
fists only, and
Mm,
you're just fucking
Protect your
knocking out
eyes.
with these
Protect
8-year-olds.
your eyes and go.
so
Just
we're
go.
still talking, say, these children's safety scissors?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're done.
I
The
don't
only
know, I
reason they
think
had
you
a
could take
the
them.
only reason they had a chance is because they had like really sharp scissors. I was thinking like this, but just like the ones that are all metal, like with the very pointy tips, where they could
Mhm.
stab me.
Yeah.
Because if they hit something major, like a major organ, because they're also low, they're like liver height, and I'm
Oh,
really,
yeah.
really not in a. We've
That's
gone
true.
on way too long about this. So final thoughts. I thought the ending kind of saved the movie, and I think
Yep.
that just the like overall lore and the goodwill I have from like the first two Halloweens
Mhm.
made it to where I like still enjoyed this, but I'll say like 30 to 45 minutes in, I was like, this is dog shit. But it brought it back.
Yeah. I did like the ending, and I think that just kind of that satisfied me enough. I was like, "That's a solid spooky call," and I was into it.
I did hear it gets worse from here for 5 and 6 though. So
Yeah. Yes.
There's a lot of things that I felt like this movie tried and then they backed out of it kind of
Mhm.
too early.
Mhm.
Like with the teenagers or whoever they were that dressed as Michael Myers that almost got shot. I felt like that could have been a thing, but it was a one and done thing. Like that could have been a reoccurring theme throughout the movie. It's like he's so famous in this town that he's more of an idol than a something to be feared,
Mhm.
and that could really work out for Jamie and like the future things when I don't know what she becomes Michelle Myers. I don't know, but um when Loomis is at the bottom of the stairs and he's like, no, no, and like the realization that this has like been passed on, like genetically since it's his niece, right? So it's like um a genetic thing that you just are. It must have skipped
A
uh, a
generation. Oh,
generation.
no. It wouldn't have skipped because it
Oh
just
no, it's
went
his
from one
sister.
generation. Yeah, yeah, so it's right to the next generation.
Right to the next generation, and then the despair in his voice. I think like not only Jamie killing her mom, and that sets up as a twist is really effective, but the you get to see Loomis kind of understanding the impact of all of this also really works strong
Mhm,
for the end of
mhm.
this movie. And I'm pretty sure Jamie comes back in the fifth one. I don't know what happens in the sixth one, but she's on the poster of the fifth one, so that'll be interesting to do it. Just before we totally wrap up, you were asking about the order in which to watch these. And David
Mhm.
and I found this like really cool chart that kind of tells you how to watch these.
Yeah, I
So,
wanna know because I was
okay.
thinking about it and, like, the order and the canon and all of that, including, like, all of the new ones, H2O and the new trilogy, all of that.
So this is how it goes. So the first one goes right into Halloween 2.
Mhm.
And then the sequel timeline, they're calling this the sequel timeline, goes Halloween 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Then the H2O timeline, you go back to Halloween 2, you watch Halloween 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and then you go to H2O,
The
and then you
resurrection.
go to Halloween the 2002
Resurrection.
That's
Resurrection.
the Rob Zombie one.
No,
No,
that's a,
No,
no.
which ones are hi no,
So
his is
his is his own thing, right?
2007?
yeah, 2007 and
Watch it.
2009, and the Rob Zombie is Halloween and Halloween 2, and they're labeled the reboot
Mhm,
timeline,
mhm.
and they stand on their own.
That's kind of how he does all of his stuff.
They stand on their
Yeah.
own. And then obviously the anthology timeline right now only consists of Halloween 3, and it stands on its own.
Mhm.
Now, here's the most interesting part.
Well, no, it starts after 1.
No.
The last 3?
No, no, no. Halloween 3.
Oh, right, yeah,
Right.
Season of the
It
Witch.
stands on it. Yeah, Season of
Yeah.
the Witch. Now, the reboots, the 2018, 2021, and the 2022 movies, in that timeline called the H40 timeline, 40 years later,
Oh.
Halloween 2 never happens. So the way you're supposed to watch that is
Yeah.
Halloween 1, the original, and then the 3,
Because she's not dead.
because she's not dead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So a couple fun facts, and then I want you to tell your thing.
Yeah.
So the drugstore that Jamie goes to buy her costume is also in the Sandlot. Smalls stops in on his way before he goes to the Sandlot for the first time. And then the script for this, once John Carpenter left, was written in 11 days, and on like the 11th day, it finished right before a Writers Guild strike that lasted 155 days.
Oh, no.
So that's also why this,
They could have had so much
they could have
time.
fixed some stuff while they were filming, if not for the fact that there's a writer's strike and you're not allowed
That's
to
why it
rewrite.
sucked. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's no explanation for 5 and 6. So, you tell your story about the
Yeah.
new ones.
So I don't know if we've talked about what I do for work. I work as a comic book editor and also occasionally a cartoonist and comic book artist.
That's awesome.
And so I use a very specific what I call leave behind. Instead of business cards, I make these enamel pins. And I last year created a whole set of Halloween ones of stuff throwing up, and I made a jack-o'-lantern throwing up. So I sell those in stores all over the place and stuff like that. But I also live in Savannah, and that's where the last film was shot.
It was, yes.
And I got a call from our local comic book store, and he was telling me that the girl who plays Jamie Lee's granddaughter in the new kind of reboots came in and bought out all of the jack-o'-lantern throwing up jack-o'-lantern pins that I had to give as set gifts. So for me, I think that's just like a cool little, part of the franchise I get to be included in, and that was
That's
just really exciting for
awesome.
me.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks for listening to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon. And we finally watched Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.